Hey guys, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home. Today, let's check out whether King Kong Ultimate Edition is worth an upgrade to 4K. Hey everyone, so thanks for coming back to this channel. In today's video, we're taking a look at King Kong, the Peter Jackson 2005 movie on 4K Blu-ray. I'm going to let you know whether this is worth an upgrade by checking out the video, the audio quality, and the packaging and special features and everything that comes in this singular package, and whether this is worth upgrading from your current Blu-ray to this 4K format. If you like this sort of stuff, please subscribe to the channel and make sure that your notifications are on. I'm doing videos 3 or 4 times a week on Blu-ray, 4K, collecting, reviews, unboxings, home theater stuff, all that good stuff. So if you like that, subscribe. Make sure you like the video and let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this review. And with that being said, we'll jump right into this. So let's talk about the visuals for King Kong 4K here. And by doing that, we need to jump back to the source from 2005. Now, the interesting thing about this is that, according to IMDb, the movie was actually shot on 35mm, which would mean that it should make a good 4K upgrade and a 4K remaster was possible, but it's also very CGI heavy, and this was 2005, and so the CGI was definitely rendered at only 2K, and according to IMDb, it only has a 2K digital intermediate, and all the research online that I've done has shown that to be the case again with the 4K Blu-ray. It does not look like any remastering in 4K was completed here. So we are getting an upscaled 2K video to a 4K Blu-ray, so not a true 4K title if that's something you're concerned with. Now that being said, there's still HDR on this, HDR10, and that's something that's going to be a definite difference and definite upgrade over the Blu-ray. Whether it's for good or for bad, we'll find out. But the biggest thing to note here is that CGI, and I think that's the biggest detractor from this 4K visual, because the CGI is really heavy in some sequences, and one that I jumped to in particular was where King Kong fights the multiple T-Rex throughout the jungle, and some of that looks decent. Some of the CGI actually looks good in 4K, but whenever you put Naomi Watts in front of the character that's being CGI'd, whether it be Kong or a T-Rex, you get such a bad green screen effect, and that is prevalent on the 2005 movie when it came out. I mean, I remember this, and it's on the Blu-ray, but it's worse in 4K because 4K does give some nice added detail to Naomi Watts in her character, or any of the other characters who were shot on 35mm, but then that CGI behind them is really soft and soft around the edges, and you can totally tell whenever they're on a green screen. Now, if I was going to compare this to a recent movie, I would say Kong Skull Island is a good comparison, and that is a much better 4K visual when it comes to the CGI. CGI technology had been, 12, 13 years, 14 years into the future. By the time that came out, it's a little easier to render it more smoothly. Green screen technology even had improved. Lots had improved in even just that 13, 14 year time frame. So for what this is in 2005, the CGI is incredible. It was some of the best CGI ever when it came out. But the problem with this type of movie is that it can easily be dated because it was an early example of great CGI, but CGI has come so far since then that now it does look terribly out of date, and the 4K resolution doesn't help that at all. Now, one thing I could compare to as well was like the Jurassic Park 4K master. So how does that look? Because that was mostly practical effects versus CGI here on King Kong. And I can compare dinosaurs to dinosaurs, and Jurassic Park does look a lot better because there's more practical effects. Things just look a lot cleaner where it's practical, and that is a 4K upgrade from a 35mm print, whereas we're getting a 2K CGI from 2005 even. So, rendering was just not there yet, and unfortunately it really does detract from a lot of the picture. Now, the HDR on this was, I would say, less than impressive as well. I think that it was kind of dark, but HDR is usually dark. It's usually darker. That's usually one thing that it does do, is it makes blacks and grays and even like dark greens, dark blues, it makes them darker while it also turns up the brightness on other colors. But in this release, I did see some nice brightness in the brighter colors, but the darkness was not great, and it was a little bit muddy, and shadow detail wasn't very good, and a lot of things were just lacking. And some of that definitely has to do with, again, the CGI, and where certain sequences looked really good. Like, let's talk about towards the beginning of the movie where it's more human-based and there's less CGI happening. And there's a great scene with the islanders when they first get there, the natives on the island. That scene looks really good here in 4K with HDR. But you can't handpick scenes like that and then have scenes where there's dinosaurs stampeding through a valley and it looks like, I don't know, it looks like a YouTube video that some 12-year-old would do right now with a green screen, because that's where the technology's come and it's just outdated. So it really all just comes back to that HDR and the CGI and the 4K just not meshing, because it's unfortunately, it's a really fun movie, and when it came out it was really well done, but a movie like this unfortunately has not aged well versus movies like Jurassic Park, which will age better forever because they have practical effects and you can't tell. That green screen effect is just not there. Now, audio-wise, this was an earlier 4K release. This came out a few years back, and so we actually have a DTS-X immersive audio track on this. Now, DTS-X is sort of DTS's equivalent to Dolby Atmos. It's another object-based surround track, another object-based surround audio. It does many of the same things, but where DTS HD master audio was so prevalent on Blu-rays, Dolby Atmos has really stepped their game up. First with their Dolby True HD, which was great and just underused for whatever reason, and now Dolby Atmos has taken the next step. Now, this is a very good audio track. There's tons of great audio moments in this. The roar of the beasts, especially Kong, sounds really good. Your sound system does get a workout. It has a lot of good bass to it, and it's a definite upgrade over the previous Blu-ray. So in terms of audio and visual, the audio is a big time upgrade, and if you're an audiophile, I think you'll really like this, but I don't think the visuals make it worth picking up on 4K, unfortunately, because it just makes what is already a sort of soft and really highly CGI heavy picture from a time when CGI was still getting its legs, and it makes it worse because the 4K resolution just it points out all the different holes in your rendering, and it just makes soft rendered CGI look so much worse. So overall, from an audio visual perspective on this one, I would have to say not worth an upgrade. Maybe for $5 if you wanted to add it to your existing Blu-ray, which you may be able to find this for, but it's not something I would recommend if you're looking to really be blown away by the picture quality. Your previous Blu-ray release is going to be essentially just as good. It's going to be 98% the same, where there's a few moments that HDR did help, but at times I actually would prefer the Blu-ray color grading. Now, packaging and special features. This is the Ultimate Edition, so it has the theatrical and the extended cuts, which is really nice. On the packaging on the inside, we've got a tray, so Disney, take note, these aren't stacked. You've got a 4K, you've got your Blu-ray, and you've got your bonus features. There are over like 12 hours of bonus features on this, so it's packed with stuff, as Peter Jackson, usually does with his Ultimate Editions. If you know Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, they're packed with special features, and this is another one that is no exception. Overall, the packaging is decent, but again, there's some really nice Blu-ray packaging out there. I know I have a Steelbook, which is pretty cool. There's a few variations on that, and there are older slip-covered Blu-ray versions as well. So this isn't really anything special. You're not getting a real brand new packaging here, but it does include extended and theatrical versions, like I said, so that's kind of cool. So overall, guys, my thoughts, I was really a little disappointed. I was hoping for big things, but I was nervous about the CGI. And unfortunately, that's what did this one in. I would not recommend upgrading over your Blu-ray. Like I said, if you can find the disc on 4K for maybe $5 just because you really want to have it on 4K, there are some scenes that look good, and there are some CGI scenes when they don't have humans in front of the CGI so that it's so obvious that it's a green screen. The CGI is really well done. and it's sharper and it looks better. But the minute you put somebody in front of it with that green screen technology, that's where you lose it. So it has its highlights, but there's too many moments that honestly may have even looked better on the Blu-ray because things blended a little bit better. It's not as sharp, so you can't see how soft that CGI is. And so you're overall better off sticking with your Blu-ray. I would say this one, not worth an upgrade in my opinion, unless you really, really need that audio track. And in that case, you could go and just buy the 4K disc to upgrade your audio, but you're gonna struggle with some pictures. So that's kind of be personal preference basically, but I wouldn't spend more than $5 on this. It's just not one of the better 4K releases I've seen. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for everyone who left comments on what they wanted to see. That's why I jumped into this one first. There were a lot of comments for both Predator and King Kong. I'm gonna do Predator next, so don't worry, but King Kong, you were interested in the CGI and how that looked, and that's why I wanted to jump into that one first. And ultimately, that ended up being the biggest deciding point in whether this was worth an upgrade or not for me. So good call by you all. So thank you guys for commenting on that and making me do this review. Thank you all for watching it. I will leave a link to King Kong 4K down in the description if you do want to check it out. Purchasing it does help support my channel, but it isn't one that I can recommend upgrading for anything better than a really good $5, maybe $10 deal. I would not go any higher than that to upgrade this, and I would make sure you stick with your well, this has a Blu-ray in it, so you don't have to stick with your previous Blu-ray, but I would keep that one around. If you're not going to upgrade to 4K, it's still a very good picture on the Blu-ray. Just know that it definitely is not aging well as we get further and further away from its release date and technology improves. But thank you for watching, everyone. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. Check out all the other links down in my description, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay at home. I will talk to you guys next week sometime with Predator and Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Stay tuned for those. Make sure you're subscribed. Have a great rest of your week. See you later.